Hello and welcome to Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. With the death of Nelson Mandela, the whole world, really the whole world, is looking at what we lost with his death. But more importantly, we're looking at what we gained with his life. Joining me now is Robert V. Taylor. He's the president of the Desmond Tutu Peace Foundation to talk about more about what we really learned from Nelson Mandela. Welcome, Robert.
It's good to be with you, Lauren.
We tend to do this when people die. We look at what their lives have brought us and you know what we're going to be losing. But you have an op-ed that's just being posted on FoxNews.com talking exactly about this. It's a wonderful article. But tell me now, what are the lessons we can learn from Nelson Mandela?
Well, I think several things. You know, when he was imprisoned, the goal of the South African government was to really crush his spirit and destroy him as a human being. And out of that hardship emerged this incredible hope for South Africa. So instead of a crushed spirit, hardship led Mandela to imagine a new life, not just for himself, but also for his fellow prisoners. And he used Robben Island jail as a school of leadership and preparing people for the day when they might be part of the government of a democratic South Africa that included all of its people with absolutely no outcasts. And so I think, you know, for me, that's one of the primary lessons. Hardship leads us usually to a place of new hope. And then I think the second one is just the incredible graciousness of spirit of the man. Instead of holding on to what might have been justified as anger, resentment about his captors, Mandela befriended his prison guards while in prison. They respected him. They adored him. And they were, in fact, at his side when he was inaugurated as South Africa's first elected president. And he forgave the very people who you know, implemented this violent system of apartheid that destroyed people's lives, quite literally. And so this heart of generosity and graciousness are, I think, just lessons for the entire human family, and certainly for anyone who is in a leadership position, no matter whether that's formal or informal leadership.
You know, it's very interesting to talk about forgiveness. And one of the things that is the hallmark of Nelson Mandela's life is this idea of forgiveness, but really walking the talk, that understanding that forgiveness at a certain level does hurt, but it's more than just saying, I forgive you. It is the act of reconciliation as well, right?
Well, it's completely an act of reconciliation. And, you know, he and his friend, Desmond Tutu, did something that was quite audacious, that had never, ever been thought of before. When he was elected as president in '94, he and Tutu concocted this notion of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And the terms of which, broadly, were that anybody who came forward from either side of the South African conflict and admitted their involvement in acts of violence or destruction of human lives and told the story of what they had done and asked to be forgiven would not face time in prison. And that was a remarkable process that lasted for several years, and was very public. And I think it was part of the genius of walking the talk about reconciliation and forgiveness, to actually be able to name what had happened and to ask others to forgive you.
The 27 years he spent in prison, you get the feeling that he was transformed himself by that experience. We look at that experience from the outside and say, how could anyone endure 27 years in prison and come out and forgive? But how was he himself transformed by those 27 years?
Well, you know, a lot of people say that he went into prison as a fiery young man and emerged as this very sort of spacious, gracious, forgiving person who, after having been kept on an island for almost 27 years, seemed to have understood that no person is an island. And that, in fact, when we don't know our need of one another, We live in islands that are completely isolated, and something happened in prison in which he understood that if South Africa was going to work, every single person in that country had to be part of its story.
And that's exactly what he did, because one of the things that he said, which I thought was very touching, is about how even though the white South Africans were the oppressors under apartheid, he made sure that when black South Africans gained power or gained parity, that they would not become the oppressors as well, not trying to imitate what their oppressors had done.
Well, and in fact, you and I know that the cycle of human history often leads to those who have been oppressed becoming the new oppressors. And I think Mandela believed that there was something, there was a moment in time to act and make sure that that historical paradigm didn't get played out in South Africa. And, you know, that's in fact what has happened. There is a remarkable spirit about the country, which is not to say that it does not face many, many issues, but there is this compassionate, gracious sense about the country of people needing one another and wanting to make it work.
Yeah, so they are stronger with each other rather than separate. I want to thank you so much. I want to also let people know about your op-ed article on foxnews.com. It's called Nelson Mandela, Lessons, Hardship to Hope. It is a wonderful article. Robert V. Taylor is president of Desmond Tutu Peace Foundation. I want to thank you so much for being on A Spirited Debate and on foxnews.com. Thank you so much.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. And thank you all for watching A Spirited Debate.